Thomas.
I do.
Good morning, sir. Would you prefer to sit or to stand?
I can stand.
All right. If at any time you need to sit, could you just indicate?
I will.
And furthermore, if this starts to blow a little vigorously on you, would you please let us know?
I will.
Sure. Would you state your name for us?
Edgar Mortimer Thomas.
And are you an Assistant Commissioner of Police in the Guyana Police Force?
Yes, I am.
Give us 1 second. How long have you been a member of the Guyana Police Force?
Roughly about 49 years.
39. And what is your current position?
I am the head of the Presidential CoI.
Is it that he no longer holds the office of Assistant Commissioner of Police?
Yes, I'm Assistant Commissioner of Police, head of the Presidential CoI.
Head of the Presidential.
How long have you been assigned as head of the Presidential Guard?
On the 3rd of August 2020,
Do you recall the month of February 2020?
yes, I do.
And what position did you then hold?
Assistant Commissioner in charge of Regional Division 4E.
And what geographical area did this division cover? Can you explain?
Yes. It spans from Agricola on the south. and-
Agricola
Yes.
to
Cummins Lodge.
and below you, immediately below you in rank, who was the next officer?
Senior Superintendent Philip Azul.
Do you recall attending a meeting in February of 2020?
Yes, I can recall.
And where was this meeting held?
It was at the GCOM office, Page Street, Kingston.
And by GCOM, do you mean the Guyana Elections Commission office?
Yes, the election.
Now, you're dropping your voice a little bit towards the end of your sentence, and we have to make sure that everybody can hear. So try to keep your voice up a little bit, okay? And apart from yourself, did any other officer from the police service attend that meeting?
Yes, Deputy Commissioner Maxine Graham, the operation officer.
What was the meeting about?
The meeting was primarily to discuss election arrangement for March the 2nd.
And when you say election arrangements, you're talking about the general elections which had been carded for the 2nd of March 2020.
Yes.
Who from GCOM did both of you meet with?
Mr. Keith Lowenfield, the then CEO, Ms. Roxanne Myers, the Deputy CEO, and Mr. Lowenfield, Assistant. Can't remember his first name, but surname is Burger.
Hesburger. Okay. So when you say CEO, do you mean Chief Election Officer?
Yes, Chief Election Officer.
And when you say Deputy CEO, do you mean Deputy Chief Election Officer?
Yes.
And his assistant was Mr. Hesburger. Hethsberger.
Yes.
And arising out of this meeting, can you tell us what responsibilities were assigned to you?
My responsibility was to take care or provide security for GCOM's building or command center, Iron Atfield Street.
Was this the Ashman's building?
Yes.
And what was your understanding of your role there? Who were you to allow in, who couldn't come in, that kind of thing?
My role there, or the police general role there, was to take care of the external security. Now, some specific instruction was given for the police.
And what were these?
That the police, the first instruction given that 2 police officers were to allow into the building.
Only 2?
Only 2.
And who gave that instruction?
That was agreed on in the meeting between the Chief Election Officer, Mr. Lowenfield, Ms. Myers, and my superior, Ms. Maxine Graham.
Apart from the police, were there any other security arrangements in place for the Ashman's building on election day?
Yes. I can recall immediately to the entrance of Ashman building was Caliber Security in charge of that area, the main door. Additionally, Mr. Ronald Stewart.
Ronald Stewart?
Yes. Was the chief security officer for GCOM, to the best of my knowledge. He was employed by GCOM.
Okay. So, Caliber Security, was it a private security firm?
Private security firm.
Do you recall Monday, the 2nd of March 2020?
Yes, I recall.
And at about 5 o'clock that afternoon, where were you?
I was at Brigham.
Is that the police division?
Police division headquarters, Brigham, in my office.
Yes. And did you receive a call?
Yes. I received a call from the operation room informing me that they received a call from what we may call command center. We call it force control, but
okay. Take your time. Remember, we have to get each word, each important word down.
Yes.
All right? They got a call from command center.
Yes.
And did they bring you up to date as to what the call was about?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas, I think you're speaking away from the mic, and I'm seeing some signs down the back.
Okay.
Speak toward the mic.
Would it be easier if, I'm wondering if it might be easier to chair if he sat and leaned
Make
into
yourself comfortable, right? How, if you think you're more comfortable sitting. Okay.
Yes. Could you assist with a chair for the witness, please?
And in that way, you'll be able to speak directly into the mic.
A small chair. That's to fit in the box. Thank you. We'll be able to get.
Mr. Thomas is not a small man.
No. I just don't want him toddling backwards. Are you okay there?
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay. Do you have enough legroom there? Okay. Right. If at any point you don't feel comfortable there or you feel a bit scrunched up, just let me know.
Yes.
All right?
Yes, thank you.
So you were telling us that you had received a call from a rank which had come from the Guyana Police Command Center. Yes, that's where we had got.
Yes.
Could you tilt the mic a little more down to Watson? And what information were you given?
That the message came from the Commissioner of Police, Leslie James, and he requested 5 bits of information, if I can recall. One, the amount of elector on the list.
The number of persons, by that you mean the number of persons listed to vote? What was the second thing?
The number of persons voted.
The number of persons who had voted. What was the third thing the commissioner required?
So I think 5 was the amount of persons voted. The fourth, the amount of persons to be voted.
Number of persons waiting to vote?
Yes, in the line.
And what was the fifth thing?
The end of poll, that a copy of statement of poll must be transmitted to the poll report to the WhatsApp group. There was a group established, WhatsApp group.
Sure. Now,
What was the last requirement for declaration?
Copy of statement of poll.
To the Commissioner of Police?
Yes.
Via the WhatsApp group?
Yes.
yes. Now, Mr. Thomas, I apologize. You gave a statement in this matter, did you not?
Yes, I did.
And you signed it.
Yes.
And if you see that statement again, you will be able to recognize it.
Yes.
And you will be able to recognize it by your signature.
Yes.
Did you initial each page?
Yes, I did.
Might this be shown to the witness?
Yes, I think.
You have a document in your hand.
Yes, I have one of your polls.
Right, no, is that the original you have in your hand?
Yes, the original.
Okay, show us where your signature is. Hold it up so the commissioners can see. Right. And your initials are on each page? Yes. Might this be marked ET1, please? Admitted and marked ET1.
The statement is admitted, marked ET1.
Now, having received those instructions, Did you comply with them?
Yes, I did comply.
Do you recall the 5th of March 2020?
Yes, I recall.
At about 2 minutes to 2 in the morning, where were you?
I was in my office at Brigada.
And did you then receive a telephone call?
Yes, I received a telephone call from the operation room.
And this was this in relation to a complaint?
Yes. The call stated that someone called from GCOM building, which was Ashman Center, the command center at Ashman building, indicated that someone who was part of the tabulation process removed a flash drive from the area of the tabulation center and was seen in the computer room and a room nearby, appears to be tampering with the data.
And having received that complaint, what, if anything, did you do?
I contacted Mr. Wright, Senior Superintendent of Police. He was the Divisional CID officer in charge of my division.
Okay. And just for those of us who may not be familiar with the term, CID stands for what?
Criminal Investigation Department.
And together with Mr. Wright, did you go anywhere?
Yes. We journeyed to Ashton building at Bill Street.
And apart from yourself and Mr. Wright, were there any other officers with you?
There were two to three other persons were there. I cannot recall their names.
Sure. And were you all in uniform at the time?
No. I was in uniform because I'm a uniform rank, and the remainder were all CID ranks, plain clothes.
When you arrived at Ashman's, can you tell me what occurred?
On my arrival there with the team, there were multiple reports coming in, and all the reporters were saying the same thing, that someone was in the computer, which they later identified, who was a part of the tabulation process. And he was seen, he left that area, entered into another room, and he was seen actually interfering with the data on the flash drive.
So, would you tell us who made these complaints to you?
I can recall one, Mr. Josh Kanai.
Mm-hmm.
I can recall a representative from the EU, Ukraine Union. I can recall that, and there were several others.
Okay. Did they include representatives did they include observers?
Yes.
And did they include representatives from different political parties?
Correct, yes.
Well, having received all of these complaints from these different people, did you do anything?
Yes, I did.
Would you tell us what you did?
I took Mr. Wright over to the room that was identified. We questioned the person that was pointed out to us. His name was given as Enrique Livan.
Enrique Livan, L-I-V-A-N. Yes. Okay, let's just pause a little bit. Now, when you entered Ashman's building, was there an area assigned or called the tabulation room?
Yes.
And you just told us that you went to a room where you saw this gentleman, Mr. Enrique Livan. When you saw him, was he in the tabulation room at the time?
No, he was not.
Can you recall how he was dressed?
I cannot recall his bullet dress.
Okay. Was he in that room with anyone else?
Nearby there were more than one room, and I can recall seeing a female was in one of those rooms.
Where in that room was Mr. Livan or Livan when you saw him?
He was sitting at the desk, bending over on the table, on the desk.
Was there anything on that desk?
Yes. A computer, laptop computer was here.
And at the time when you entered that room, was the computer open or shut?
It was closed.
When you approached, you say Senior Superintendent Wright spoke to him. Did Officer Wright identify himself to Mr. Livan?
Yes, he did.
And did he caution him?
Yes, he cautioned him. He put the offense to him.
And did Mr. Livan make any response at all?
Yes, he said that he's tired and he came in. He was in that room and he came out because he was tired.
Okay. Now you say that he told you that he was in that room. What was that room? What was that room that you think he was referring to?
The tabulation center.
Now, as far as you understood, was Mr. Livan an employee of GCOM?
Yes. He was.
Why do you say that?
Because he admitted that he was there on official duty. He admitted that to the police that I was there.
Okay. Now, having observed this state of affairs, what did you do?
At that stage, there was some discussion. My intention was to have the computer and the flash drive in custody of the police, which we tried to do that in the first instance.
Okay, well, did you telephone anyone
Yes.
before you had those discussions?
Yes. After realizing that that computer played a vital role for the flash drive, I decided to seek assistance via calling Mr. Keith Lewinfield.
And how had you known his number?
That number was provided to me by Deputy Commissioner Maxine Graham.
And is this the same officer, Ms. Graham, who had attended the meeting with you in February of 2020?
Yes.
After you telephoned Mr. Lowenfield, did you see him at Ashman's building?
Yes. He asked for transportation assistance to get to Ashland building.
And did you make those arrangements?
That was made for him.
And how long after that discussion via telephone did he arrive at the building?
Roughly about 30-45 minutes thereafter.
And during this period of time, where was Mr. Livan?
He was in the same room, but at that time, he was more actually alert. Or if I say he was actually sitting up, not bending over the desk at the time.
And you said Senior Superintendent Wright had identified himself to him and cautioned him and so on. Did Senior Superintendent Wright continue to speak to Mr. Livan?
Not at that stage.
Okay. After Mr. Lowenfield's arrival, did you speak with him? Mr. Lowenfield, that is.
I spoke to Mr. Lowenfield about the police intention with the computer and the flash drive.
And when you spoke with him, was there anyone else there?
Yes, there were several party representatives who were there.
Were there any observers there at the time?
I cannot because,
Sure.
but most likely there would have been. I can't recall any individual who I could have identified at the time.
Certainly, fair enough. And
Council, one moment. Could
Sorry.
we just get who is Mr. Rowanfield in the scheme of things?
The chief election officer.
so essentially, from what you have told us, you were saying that the police wanted to take away the computer and the flash drive, correct?
Correct.
And did you take away the computer and the flash drive?
No, we didn't.
And how did that come about?
We were looking for a thing of evidential value. And we recognized that the computer definitely is of evidential value.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. You said you were looking for something of evidential value.
Yes.
The computer, in your opinion,
Well,
had such material.
yes.
Why didn't you take it?
Because there was a discussion started immediately in terms of what the impact of taking that computer away would have created for the tabulation process.
Can I ask, when you arrived, you saw Mr. Livan
Yes.
in a room other than the tabulation room.
Yes, Commissioner.
Did he remain in that room until Mr. Lowenfield arrived?
Yes, he was there.
And no one interfered with the computer that he had before him?
No one interfered with that computer.
Thanks.
Now, is it my understanding that you as a police officer did not want to interfere with the electoral tabulation process?
Correct.
And this is why you agreed not to remove the computer and the flash drive?
That's correct.
Are you able to say then, well, did you remain there after this was agreed upon?
Yes, I was there.
So what followed? What happened then?
Well, there were discussions between the political parties and observers, which I know to talk were there, but I cannot identify them. And what was discussed on that they put the data onto a big screen that everyone can view. And
Right. Was it, okay, let me see. Was there a suggestion that the flash drive and the computer should be put, the data from that should be put up on the big screen in the tabulation room?
Yes.
So can you tell us who moved the computer and the flash drive to the tabulation room?
It was Mr. Lightman.
And was the CEO present when all of this was being done?
Yes, he was.
Did you go to the tabulation room when the computer and the flash drive were taken there?
Yes, I was.
As requested, was the data from the flash drive and the computer put up in the tabulation room?
Yes, I saw them
And was this on a screen?
on the street.
Were you able to see that screen?
Yes.
And did you make any observations?
Yes, I can recall that it was then Mr. Frank Anthony, now Minister of Health, was here. And during that process, he would have observed two folders, which I was there too.
You
So-
also observed two folders.
Two folders.
When you say two folders, you mean two electronic folders?
Yes, I saw.
Yes.
I could,
Are we hearing what is that?
I was
No.
there.
he just clarified. Did you also observe?
Yes, I also.
Yes. So you observed 2 electronic folders. Yes, and tell us some more about that.
Mr. Lyman immediately opened one of them. And he recognized at that time.
No, you tell me what you saw.
Yes. When he opened that folder, he would have changed into another folder, open another folder.
Right, so when he opened one folder, another folder opened?
He opened another one.
Or he opened 2 folders?
2 folders.
Yes. And what did you see on the screen?
I saw data in form of an Excel format.
Okay. Now, are you now able to tell us what you saw?
Not the detail.
Okay.
I just saw the structure.
Sure. I'm going to ask the Commission's permission to permit the witness to look at his witness statement, in particular at paragraph 17.
Before you do this, Mr. Thomas, who was the person who was conducting the demonstration, that is, the projection onto the screen from the computer and this laptop?
As far as I can recall, it was like that.
507.
Yes.
And this projection was done using the same computer and flash drive that you saw him with in the room where you first saw him.
Yes.
Yes. Now, Mr. Thomas, you have a copy of your statement
Yes,
with you?
I do.
I would like you to turn to page 4 and look at paragraph 17 and 18 for me, please. Look at paragraphs 17 and 18. Now just read it quietly, and then I have a couple of questions to ask you. Okay, so you can close the folder now. So you were telling us about seeing 2 electronic folders on the screen in the tabulation room, correct?
Correct.
And you told us that the person who had put up the folders on the screen was the same Mr. Livan that you had spoken about,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
So when the folders were put up on the screen, did you make any observations in relation to the tabulations for Region 4?
No, I didn't.
Did you notice that there were tabulations on the screen?
Yes.
And are you able to now recall whether they were same, different, what? Or would you like to look at your statement again?
I can look at the statement again.
Yes, look at paragraph 17 for me, please. Right, so now that you have refreshed your memory, Are you able to assist us as to any information pertaining to the tabulations for Region 4 that you saw on the screen?
No, I did not look at the numbers. I look at the structure of the folders.
Mm-hmm.
They were the same structure.
I see. Now, you told us that Dr. Frank Anthony was there.
Yes, he was.
And did you at that time hear Dr. Anthony say anything?
Yes,
Can you recall what he said?
yes. From all indication, there were differences in the content. And I heard him saying how this one reached here, how this reached here.
Okay, so explain that to us a little bit. You said there were differences in the content. The content of what?
Content of the folder, which meaning the content of the data or the structure.
So the contents of the two folders put up on the screen by Mr. Livan were different.
In terms of comparison.
Right. And what did Dr. Anthony say?
He said that this is not where they left off. I heard him saying that.
What did the police do at this time?
Nothing.
That comment, this is not where we left off. You understood that to mean left off in the tabulation process?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Did you remain there or did you leave?
I was there.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yes, I was there during that period.
Okay. Now, when these two different sets of data appeared on the screen and Dr. Anthony spoke, where was Mr. Lowenfield?
Mr. Lowenfield was there at the time.
And when this observation was made by Dr. Anthony, did Mr. Lowenfield say anything?
Yes. From all indication, there was some disagreement in terms of the data. And the political party's representative called for a hard copy of the data that was already verified.
So they called for that from Mr. Lowenfield?
Yes.
And what did he say in reply?
He promised and he delivered.
He promised that he would deliver it.
And he did.
He did deliver it.
Yes.
So after it was apparent that the electronic data put up by Mr. Livan was different, the CEO promised and delivered to provide a hard copy of the correct numbers. And after that was done, did you go anywhere or did you remain at Ashland?
I remained there for the time being.
Mm-hmm. And at about 10 to 10 that morning, did you receive a call?
Okay. To be correct, that was actually the only part of the morning. I did leave the Ashland building for some.
Sure. So at about 10 to 10, did you receive a call from an officer at the operations room at Ashman's?
Yes.
And
The said date, the 50th.
The fifth, yes.
50th. Thank you.
And what were you told?
That there's a bomb planted at the building.
Which building was this?
Ashton building at I and Hatfield Street.
At High and Hadfield Street. So you were given this information by the officer who had received such a call?
Yes.
And what did you do as a result?
I went to Ashton building, the officer in charge, where I met the police sniff dog. the Guided Fire Service, and TPL representative. I saw a TPL vehicle.
A what vehicle?
TPL, Guided Power Unit.
Guyana Power and Light Vehicle.
Yes.
Yes. So did you give instructions to anyone?
Yes. I went into the building and informed all that information received that the bomb had been planted in the building.
And did you give them any additional instructions?
Yes. I told them for their own safety, they should evacuate the building.
Did they comply with your instructions?
The persons in the tabulation did not comply. I think maybe only GCOM staff, few GCOM staff that I saw, including Madam Chairperson of GCOM, complied.
And who was the chairperson of GCOM at that time?
It was
it
Justice
former Justice Claudette Singh?
Yes.
Yes. So how did you know that the persons complying were GCOM employees?
Well, I know the chairman,
Yes.
Madam Claudette Singh, Justice Claudette Singh.
Yes, the other employees, were they in a GCOM uniform or
And
something?
they were carrying a GCOM tag.
A GCOM ID tag?
ID tag.
Yes. And you say the rest of the people remained in the tabulation room? Where was Mr. Laivan at this time? Can you recall?
Okay, let me go.
And what about Mr. Lowenfield? Was he around?
He was not here.
At a convenient stage.
Oh yes, I am sorry.
We
I
just stopped to
have
take the lunch and break.
Run ahead. I beg your
No,
pardon.
no, not at no.
Yes.
I understand, but just at a convenient stage.
Yes, this is the meeting.
You're going to stop
We
it?
yeah.
Yes.
We will stop now
Break.
and resume at 1 p.m.
You guys?